We have not seen violence or vandalism against Supreme Court justices. We have seen it at Catholic churches. That's unacceptable. The president does not support that. We have seen it at some conservative organizations. That we don't support that. We understand the passion, we understand the concern, but what the president's position is that that should be peaceful.
Yes, that was White House Press Secretary Jen Psaki yesterday refusing to condemn protests at justices' private homes. Last night, pro-abortion protesters stood outside Justice Samuel Alito's home all night. Justices Brett Kavanaugh and John Roberts' homes were targeted over the weekend, same thing. And a Wisconsin pro-life organization was destroyed by a firebomb on Sunday. The Senate is set to vote on an abortion bill tomorrow. Joining me right now is Wisconsin Senator Ron Johnson. He is a member of the Homeland Security, Foreign Relations, and Budget Committees. Senator, thanks so much for being here this morning. What are your thoughts? Will they have enough votes to codify Roe v. Wade in the vote that you're having in the Senate?
Good morning, Maria. No, they won't. This is a show vote. But yeah, I'm not a lawyer, but my understanding of the law of it is illegal to intimidate a judge or a justice. And that's exactly what's happening here. And the White House is condoning that. They're condoning because they're saying that intimidation is peaceful. It's not resulting in riots and violence. The President of the United States is supposed to faithfully execute the laws, and he's turning a blind eye toward grotesque intimidation of the Supreme Court justice in this one decision. Again, I guess riots, I guess violence, I guess intimidation, if it's undertaken by the left, is okay. It's not okay, and this president ought to faithfully execute the laws, and he's not doing that.
Yes. So what can you do about it, Senator? Tell me what can be done about this massive bullying. First, it was bullying on Twitter and social media to shut down any narrative that the extreme left does not agree with. Now it's just getting up and going to protest to try to change a decision.
But one of the things I'm doing about it is I'm running for re-election when I didn't intend to. The left is tearing this nation apart. You know, both Obama and Biden talked about fundamentally transforming this nation. Now we see what fundamental transformation looks like. Open borders, 40-year high inflation, record gasoline prices, rising crime, intimidation of Supreme Court justices. The left is tearing this nation apart. So we need to highlight that, and we need to awaken the rest of America in terms of fundamentally transforming America is really fundamentally destroying it, destroying its institutions. That is what the left is all about. I hope Americans are paying attention.
Senator, you are also investigating this Hunter Biden story. You've been for years. You're demanding answers into whether or not a senior Justice Department official with ties to Hunter Biden has recused himself on this ongoing tax fraud investigation. This is Nicholas McQuaid, formerly worked with a Hunter attorney at a multinational law firm. Give us the story here. What do you want to find out, and why is this important?
Well, again, Nicholas McQuaid was a partner in a law firm with Hunter Biden's attorney. A clear conflict of interest. Senator Grassley and I wrote to Merrick Garland 3 times in 2021 just asking, is he going to recuse himself? He's the head of the criminal division. He would oversee potentially the case undertaken by David Weiss, the U.S. attorney in Delaware. Is he going to recuse himself from the case? You know, just as we said in the letter, a modicum of transparency could answer that question. But the Attorney General will not be transparent. He won't tell us whether he's been recused. So we've written another letter now to David Weiss to see whether Mr. McQuaid has recused himself, whether there's any communication between Mr. McQuaid and Mr. Weiss, whether Mr. Weiss is getting adequate resources to prosecute this case or investigate it. We don't know. The Justice Department is being completely opaque about this.
I mean, where are we in terms of this investigation? Do you think that Merrick Garland is going to get involved and tip the scales? For a couple of weeks, many people, including Miranda Devine, were thinking an indictment is coming. We know what Hunter Biden has done in terms of influence peddling. But right now, we're not really talking about the Foreign Bribery Act that he violated. We're talking about tax fraud.
Yeah, I would think, seeing as the FBI opened up this investigation years ago, tax evasion ought to be pretty easy to investigate and prosecute, but they haven't done so. I'm certainly concerned that we do not have the equal administration of justice. There seems to be two levels of justice in this country, one for Democrats and those connected to the left, and then one for everybody else. So I don't know where this investigation is. I'm highly concerned that they'll do an investigation. They'll come up with a potential indictment. They'll do a plea agreement that would include sealing of the records. To me, that would probably be the greatest miscarriage of justice. I think the American public needs to deserve the truth. They need to understand the exact extent to which President Biden is compromised with all of his foreign financial entanglements undertaken by Hunter Biden.
Yeah, I mean, you've been talking about this for some time, and so far we're seeing no accountability. Same thing on the Russia collusion lie. And then there's the wide open border. Lieutenant Christopher Olivares with the Texas Department of Public Safety joined me yesterday. He gave us a shocking update on the cartel's criminal activity, and he is talking here about one bust in the last 2 weeks that included 3 Chinese individuals, and the fact that China is willing to pay up to $50,000 a head to sneak in individuals. We don't know their intentions. Listen to this.
They're paying anywhere from $30,000 to $50,000 a head per person. And as I mentioned earlier on your show a few months ago, I even told you that they were paying the cartels, these criminal organizations are making well over $100 million a week just on human smuggling. That was last year's numbers. Now this year's numbers, when you take that into account, they have doubled. They are doubling their profits, and they're going to triple their profits once Title 42 is completely rescinded.
So what do you think, Senator? The administration is still wanting to lift Title 42, even though a federal judge is saying that they should not be lifting it on May 23rd. It's a week and a half away.
Well, the Biden administration, the Democrats' open border policy is facilitating the multi-billion-dollar business model of some of the most evil people on the planet. It is a clear risk to our national security. But Mayorkas, Secretary Mayorkas, won't even admit it's a problem. When I just asked him, said the first step in solving your problem is admitting you have one. Will you just admit you have a problem? He said, well, Senator, it's a challenge. No, this is a crisis, and they won't even admit it. And it is a clear risk to our national security, but they're just shrugging. Democrats have voted repeatedly not to complete the wall. They dismantled all the successful policies of the Trump administration that pretty well stopped the flow of unaccompanied children and family units exploiting our asylum laws. And it's that exploitation, that flooding of the border, 7,000 to 8,000 people per day, that opens up the lanes for people to come in this country undetected. Some pretty bad characters, potentially.
Yeah. All right, Senator. We'll be watching how this develops. Thanks very much, Senator Ron Johnson, running for re-election.